the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Is in store for here on Friday at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. But before that, Jack Foster, as we continue our off-season future best bets for football, who, in your estimation, do you think is in best position to lead Tennessee in sacks in 2025?
Yeah, this is really tough. This is the toughest one I think we've done on these podcasts so far with these preseason bets for football, or off-season bets, I should say. And I'm going to say Josh Josephs, and I know he hasn't really been a big sack guy so far, and frankly, it's because he just hasn't been on the field a ton. James Pierce has, dominated from the Leo spot the last 2 years, but I'm going to stick with that spot and say Josh Josephs leads Tennessee in sacks. And I don't know who's going to be that interior presence for Tennessee this year, or if there will be one that compares to Omar Norman Lott when it comes to getting after the quarterback. Maybe David Hobbs could be that guy, but I'm going to stick with Josh Josephs for now. And, I know we talked about the other week, about third downs and how important that role could be for Jordan Ross, and maybe he could lead Tennessee in sacks. I think he's a dark horse. Caleb Herring, I'm not going to bet on. He has only 1 sack in his first 2 seasons at Tennessee, and it actually came in 2023. So I'm going to say Josh Josephs as my answer, but, Jordan Ross is in the mix, and maybe an interior guy can take that crown this year. I just wouldn't feel as comfortable betting on it.
Yeah, Caleb Herring's kind of in that Roman Harrison zone to me, where it's like he's solid, but I don't see I don't know, it just doesn't seem like he's going to be a big sack guy. He seems like a depth guy at this point. It's a big year for him. We'll see what it looks like. But I mean, now you've got a lot of talent behind you. I mean, you got Christian Gass coming in, who seems like they're going to start him at Leo, not start like on the field, but like position wise, start him at the Leo spot. Yeah. That it's a crowded room. And
always is.
Jordan Ross is not gonna, he's the lone 5-star in that room, and he kind of has like the similar twitchy frame that Pierce had. That I think for me, I can understand the Josephs is probably the safest one, but I don't know. I don't know if Josephs is going to have that kind of final breakout year on the edge. I don't know if that's kind of his game. I think he was really good last year, and played a lot of good snaps for Tennessee, but it just doesn't. I think when it comes to sacks and the guys who might break through, Omar Norman Lott was in that conversation in the interior. Right. You mentioned David Hobbs. That one's one of those sneaky ones to me. I wonder if it's somebody in the interior that we're not expecting that kind of steps up, because there's so many snaps to have, with so much gone with Omar and Amari and company, that and Elijah Simmons, that there's a lot of snaps up for grabs. So if David Hobbs is a big spring and summer, if he's playing a lot of snaps alongside Bryson Eason and Jackson Loy, he's someone who kind of fills that Omar Norman Lott role, and he gets up to the quarterback, and you look at the end of the year and you're like, man, David Hobbs was number 2 in sacks in the interior. Was really disruptive. I think that's possible. I don't think it's going to be anybody on the strong side defensive end spot. I don't think any of those guys are going to move the needle in that regard. Hopefully it's Tyree West, or Tyree Weathersby, but that's kind of a TBD on that one. I would still lean Jordan Ross, just because I think he's going to play. I think Tennessee is going to be more aggressive rushing the passer than what we saw a year ago, because I think Banks, my gut is that they thought they would be able to win and get home against Georgia and Ohio State sending 4 with the kind of talent they had, and it didn't happen. My gut is Tennessee's going to be more aggressive rushing the passer this year than they were a season ago, because they have more trust in the secondary. They have more trust at linebacker. My gut is they're going to rush more, and I think it's going to be several guys who have a solid amount of sacks. I think Tennessee's going to have more team sacks in 25 than they had in 24. So I think it might be a really close call when it's all said and done who has the highest sack total. I could see a situation where Josephs, let's say Josephs, Ross, and maybe David Hobbs are all within 3 sacks of each other, something along those lines.
Yeah, it's hard to see someone just absolutely dominating that category. And it really didn't happen last year. It did 2 years ago with Pierce, but Pierce led last year. But like you said, the sack numbers were just kind of down. Pierce only had 7.5 and still led, by 3.5. Norman Lott had 4. So I maybe we see more sacks from Tennessee this season, but I agree that it doesn't feel like there's one that's definitely going to separate. And it could be just really spread out to where the sack leader is similar to last year in that it's in the 7 to 9 range and no one even has double digits.
That's fair. Next up here, Jack Foster, we've got which freshman. So Tennessee had one true freshman starter last year on the team, and it was Boo Carter at star. If you
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.